Howdy everybody, Steve, Alaska Volkswagen Adventures. I am back. Big shout out to all of you that reached out. I know my dad just passed and everybody reached out and sent prayers and well wishes and everything, and I just wanted to take a moment and tell all of you thank you. It was greatly appreciated. I did not drive the Volkswagen. As you can see, it's currently snowing here. First good snow of the year. Drove my dad's truck up the Yukon, so I did videotape some of that. So I will put some of that here in this video, but this was more of a big thank you to all of you that reached out. It meant a lot to me. So anyhow, thanks everybody, and I'll add some video clips from my trip up the Yukon. Didn't get my camera out in time. It was raining so hard, even with the wipers on, I couldn't see the road. And a little bit of sleet mixed in there, or hail. Now it's clearing right back up like it was nothing. That was a wild 2-mile stretch of Oregon highway for sure. Been raining for, well, since Seattle. This is probably not the lightest, but it's close to the lightest it's rained for about 12 hours now. And these windshield wipers, listen to them. And that's not bad. They were squeaking so loud earlier I couldn't even hear it with the stereo on. But I've been listening to that since Seattle too. I was gonna stop at Walmart and get some new ones, but I missed Walmart and now I'm in Canada, so they wanted $40 for a windshield wiper. I think I'll skip on that, at least for now. These might still drive me crazy, but I'm supposed to drive out of this rain some point 300 or 400 miles north of where I'm at now, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed. But figured I'd let you enjoy. Listen. It's wonderful. Yep, listening to that for over 800 miles now. This Dawson Creek, and I'm hitting snow. Temperature is 34. I've been watching cars come by for the last hour and a half with ice packed on them, so I know I'm getting ready to drive into an ice storm or a slush storm. So, but yeah, starting to flurry here, so that means I'm driving into a mess. But I figured I'd get a little bit on tape. It's windy on top of this, so it's pushing me all over the road with the trailer. We are a few miles up the road from where we were just at, and you can see there's white stuff on the road, and the mountains are completely white. Just went over Pine Peak. There's a snow resort there, or a snow lodge. I don't know if it's still open or not, but yeah, those mountains are plenty white. And it is windy up here. Holy smokes, it's always windy up here, but dang, I stepped out of the truck, it about blew me off my feet. And I'm driving in it. It's just a few miles further up the road. I stopped for a few minutes and went in the trailer and strapped everything back down and made sure everything was where it was supposed to be. And now I'm driving in slippery, nasty. It's 26 degrees and it is slick. And then I caught a snowplow, so he's sanding and plowing, so I'll just follow him for a little bit. I gotta get to Chetwynd, that's my next town, and I'll top off the fuel there. And from there to Dawson Creek is another almost 2 hours. Looks like I'm on my own from here. But I'll be in Dawson Creek probably by 8. We'll see. Anyhow, figured I'd give you an update. About to Dawson Creek, and I'm driving on a solid sheet of ice. It is, I would say it's not too slippery, but it's definitely slippery. It's 23 degrees, and the wind, the crosswind is what's really kind of hammering me here. Keeps trying to blow the trailer off out of the lane, and then of course the truck has to correct, and then that makes it slip around a little bit. But just about Dawson Creek. At Dawson Creek, I hang a left, and then I start kind of heading northwest more than just heading north like I am now. And then, I'll go to Fort St. John after that, and then from Fort St. John goes to Fort Nelson, and then on, and on, and on, and on, and eventually I'll hit Watson Lake, and then Whitehorse. Whitehorse said it was 1,500 kilometers, so that's basically at my current speed, which I won't be able to maintain up once I'm up in the mountains. It's 15 hours at 60 miles an hour just to get to Whitehorse from here. So I've got another full long day of driving just to get back to Whitehorse. Anyhow, I figured I'd show you some ice. Alright, it is the next morning. I drove from 5:30 yesterday morning until 12:15 a.m. I logged a lot of miles since I left the other, 2 nights ago now. It's 10 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's brisk. It's well, that's ouch. It's clear out there. The stars are out. The moon is right there. And I slept right here in the front seat. No truck. I just started the truck. It's just finally starting to warm up. I did have it's a sleeping bag, but it's more like a light blanket. It's only rated for like 40 degrees Fahrenheit. So I did start the truck after 2 hours of sleep, and then slept for 2 more hours, and now it's time to light the wick. You'll have to excuse the flashing tire monitor. Apparently it's upset that it's cold outside, but it's 3 degrees Fahrenheit now. People ask why I drive the Alcan so much during the winter. Honestly, this is why. It's quiet out here. There's no traffic almost, which has its pluses and its negatives. But I actually don't mind the peaceful quietness out here. And yeah, it's dark and it's cold and it's slippery. You just gotta drive for the conditions. And yes, I know I'm doing 60 miles an hour on a solid sheet of ice. I drive on this stuff 6 months a year, and when it's super cold like it is, this is really not slippery. It's tacky almost. So I don't go bombing into corners, and I'm not doing rapid lane changes or anything. I'm just cruising. When I get to the nasty stretches, I slow down. You just got to be smart about the conditions. Yeah, there's critters out here. I saw a bear yesterday, which was kind of shocking, but I did see a bear run across the road. It was dark, so I had no chance of getting that on film. And I've only seen like 5 deer. I saw 2 moose so far. It's been pretty slow on the critters, but I'm just getting to the stretch where you start seeing a lot. But I figured I would put a little bit of this on film. I haven't really filmed much. I've just been grinding miles. This wasn't a pleasure trip by any stretch. I just want to get home. I'm tired. I haven't slept more than 3 or 4 hours for over a week now, so just logging miles, grinding hard, and doing what I do on this highway, which is get from point A to point B safely. So I'm sure here in the next couple hours I should start seeing some more critters. I'm going to try to stop the hot springs up here. I've got a ways to go yet. I'm just probably about 100 miles probably north of Fort Nelson. This is a pretty long stretch between towns, so but yeah, this is what the Alcan is actually like driving in the winter. It's most of the time it's not bad, and they've done a lot of road construction. I drove this last year in my Vanagon coming up when I bought that, and it was a slow ride because a lot of it, as you can tell, this is probably not being able to be seen, but this is actually uphill. I just went over a big mountain pass and I came down a little bit. Now I'm going back up. But in the Vanagon, I don't remember it being quite this smooth through this big long stretch, and I know they didn't do this last 400 miles last year, so I think I was just afraid that I was going to break down or have an issue, so I wasn't really paying attention to the road. I was just logging miles. This time I've actually had a chance to watch the road, and the road, they've done a fantastic job. Wow, Canada's really stepped their game up on the roads, at least here in British Columbia. I haven't got back up in the Yukon. There'll be some really nasty roads up there. I remember those from last year, and I got some video. But this has definitely been a pleasant experience, at least through this point, as far as the roads are concerned. I mean, there's a lot of road construction in the lower part of British Columbia, but so far so good. This is everything's going good except for that tire monitor that's blinking and I cannot figure out how to get rid of. But I don't know this truck that well yet either, and all I'm doing is driving it up for my sister. See, that's another thing. Yeah, I was driving on the wrong side of the road there. When it's dark and there's no traffic on the highway, you can just kind of drive wherever you want to drive, wherever there's no bumps or wherever the road's the best. I'm trying to stay out of the potholes and stuff, which I haven't really seen many yet. Those are further up in the Yukon. That was pretty slippery. And it's not the truck slipping around so much, the trailer slides around a little bit too, so you gotta be mindful of that, because the trailer will suck you off in a ditch if you get it sliding. This is my 39th trip on the Alcan, so I've made a few, and I would bet 34 or 35 of those were during the winter months. I'd have to go back and look, but yeah, when it's 40, 50, I've seen 48 below. That's the coldest I've ever seen it on the Alcan. And that, let me tell you, when you grab a gas nozzle at 48 below 0 Fahrenheit, it hurts your hands if you don't have gloves on. And I generally don't carry gloves, so probably should add that to my list. But I try to be as minimalistic as possible. I carry safety gear, I carry a sleeping bag. I usually have winter boots with me, but I didn't grab them this time because I was in a hurry to get the heck out of there. And of course it wasn't this cold when I left, so. And I'm rambling, but I'm tired and just trying to chew up some miles and put a little bit of this on film. I haven't filmed hardly anything. I was gonna film this whole trip. I've got GoPros and mics and all kinds of good stuff with me, but I'm gonna put a little bit on my phone, and maybe when it gets light out, because this really to me is the better part of the drive, is northern British Columbia through the Yukon into Alaska. I like this stretch of the road the best. You're not really highway driving, you're just kind of out in the wilderness. So, and I'm sure there'll be some elk and stuff coming up here. There's a really cool spot. I see elk there almost every single time. And I gotta be. Oh, so yesterday, I'll interject a short little story here. Yesterday, I'm driving up the highway, and I go from bare pavement, 55-degree Fahrenheit, to rain, and then it poured from Seattle until Dawson Creek. Not Dawson Creek, right before Chetwynd. It poured. It was just gallons of water. I forgot Pacific Northwest rain, but then I get in towards Chetwynd, about 100 miles south of Chetwynd, and I hit ice and snow, and I start seeing cars coming at me. They're just packed with muddy ice. I'm like, oh, that looks like fun. I know I'm driving into a mess. Don't think anything about it, so I've got a Harley strapped in the trailer, and I've never carried a motorcycle before, so every time I stop, I get back there and check it. Well, when water freezes in locks and on doors on trailers that haven't been prepped for winter yet, which this one has not, the doors freeze shut and the locks won't turn. So now the doors are froze, the locks are froze, and I cannot get into the trailer. So I'm gonna have to buy a lighter or something to warm up the key nice and slow, and slowly over the course of probably 15 or 20 minutes get the door to open again, so I can get in there and double check, make sure my straps are all tight, because I do not want to drive, especially coming up into the really rough road, with those straps loose and tip a Harley over inside the trailer, because that would be bad for the Harley and bad for my trailer. But thought I'd share that little story. Yeah, everything's froze solid behind me. Can't get into anything. Oh, the gas door on the truck was actually froze solid last night. I had to bang on it a little bit to get the ice to fall off because of all that road spray that had froze to the trucks. But anyhow, I'm gonna drive for a little bit. It'll be daylight. No, what time is it? 6:15. So I've been driving an hour since I woke up, and I drive slow when I first wake up, especially after logging the miles I've drove, just to kind of give the vehicle a chance, give me a chance to get good and woke up, and just kind of get my feel, because after you've drove for 18 to 20 hours, you're comfortable on the road conditions. So I always take it real cautious when I start driving again on ice, just to kind of give myself a chance to wake up and get my reaction time back up. And I also have not been driving in the dark. You know, Alaska's just now starting to get dark again in the evening, so, and we're losing daylight fast now. It'll be another couple weeks and we'll be getting dark, you know, before dinner time. So, but I haven't drove that much this fall at night. I haven't had a reason to. And now that it's getting dark before 7 p.m., yeah, it was kind of a shock when I got to Oregon and it was dark. So I was having to drive with headlights on, and when you're not used to driving in the dark, that takes a little getting used to also. And I think in Oregon and Washington, they're having a competition to see who can have the brightest LED headlights, because holy smokes are some of those headlights bright. Alright, I bounced all over now, and I'm not watching the camera, so I've probably been filming the dash or the windshield and nothing in between. But anyhow, later. pines that are all nice and white now. I saw some elk just a little while ago. Luckily they were not in the road. It's warmed up to a whopping 6 degrees Fahrenheit, and now I'm on my way to the Laird, I'm not sure how they say it here in Canada, but heading that direction to the hot springs now. The buffalo, I'll start seeing buffalo here shortly. Actually, anytime. So just gonna keep grinding some miles here. I think I'm gonna go soak in the hot springs for a little bit if they're open. Sunrise coming up over the mountains. I'm coming down off of one of the mountain passes, headed back into another one. I'll be going up right where that sunset is here in the next hour. This is Butcher Lake. As you can see, you literally drive at the base of a cliff along the edge of the lake. When they originally built this road, they had to have divers in the water to blow up the rocks and all that. In World War II, it was pretty impressive to watch the story around how they made this road around this lake. So if you ever get a chance on YouTube, it's a good watch. It's pretty view. I always love coming here in the morning or late evenings. Sunsets on this lake are amazing. This is kind of typical northern British Columbia. You got a river over here. I'm up in the mountains, as you can see. And it's windy and bumpy, and it's not too bumpy. They actually paved this a few years ago, so it's a lot better. Oh, there's the river. But yep, traveling up through the mountains. It's just up and down, and lots of turns for hundreds of miles at a time. The gas stations are literally a full tank between gas stations up in this area. That's why I've got a gas can with me. I drove into Fort Nelson last night with the gas light on, but then again, I'm not getting a greatest fuel mileage. I'm averaging about 8 miles to the gallon right now. I figured I'd show you a little bit of this. It's cold. It's actually warmed up. It's 12 now. It was -1 earlier. So anyhow, here comes a high-speed trailer. Gotta drive. That's where I'm heading. Fingers are cold, or the phone's cold, it doesn't want to operate. But that's where I'm at. On top of a mountain. I just came up the mountain pass. I think they call those the sawtooths. They look like sawtooths. Shrink or zoom out, whatever. And my touch screen's not working because it's cold. Blasted a huge chunk of ice that was in the road. That's all beat to hell. I'm hoping I'm not denting the front of my trailer up. This isn't as tall as my truck, so. But yeah, that was a pretty gnarly chunk of ice. Luckily it was just ice and not a rock or something. Laird River Bridge. Hot springs are just up here around the corner. There's ice floating down the river. This is a cool bridge. It's warmed up to 10, so it was one about 10 miles down the road. There's this little warm and cool pockets as you drive. I think I'm gonna stop and soak in the hot springs. I've never stopped here. Well, I stopped, but there was a bunch of people, so I opted to just head on into home because I can make it from here to home in a day easy. This is the walkway out to the hot springs. It's brisk morning, to put it mildly. It's like 4 degrees where I parked, so 700 meters to get out there. Yeah, the moon's shining. And I will be out there in about 5 minutes probably. And I'll film when I get there. Slobodna. It's down towards Homer, about 2.5 hours south of Anchorage.
Oh, okay, yeah. You live there your whole life, or you?
No, I've 25 years.
Oh, okay.
Down at this end of the pool, it's nice and toasty warm. Sun peeking up. It's a little change house. Sitting on a bench. That's where the water exits. I was kind of hoping there was going to be more hoarfrost. Sitting on a little bench that's in the water. Definitely gets warmer going that way.
Local weirdo over here.
Over.
Yeah, as far as I know, anyway.
Ugh.
And I believe that courtyard is Northwest Territories, not Yukon.
Okay.
Like Watson and all that is Yukon Territory.
Right.
The other one is Yukon or Northwest Territories, NWT.
Okay.
I know it's a kindergarten on property not far from the Canadian side, right? So I walk on the American side.
Laird Hot Springs. Beautiful place. Water's magical. So I just walked back from the hot springs. And you'll notice my shorts are frozen solid. In the 5 minutes it took me to walk back here, they froze solid. So I'm gonna throw those in the back of the truck. Yep, listen. Good times. This is last thing you really want to hit in the middle of the road is a bison. They are very large. And just very docile. These guys just came out of the bushes and across the road. You don't want to hit in the middle of the road while you're on the Alcan, because those will effectively rearrange the front of your vehicle permanently. There's part of some bison. They're snoozing away. I'm sure I'll see more. I've seen a couple already before this, before I stopped at the hot springs. It's just dark. It's got a couple on. Since I forgot to record the last several I've seen, that's a big old bowl right up there on the hillside. This is Watson Lake. This is the famous sign forest. This is just the very edge of it. It goes way the heck over there and all through this whole block, through this whole area here. I've got some license plates out there from my very first trip up here. I figured I would stop to show that anyhow, since I was here and I had to fuel up over there, which was $200 to fill the tank back to F. But hey, that's part of driving through the Yukon. This is Teslin. And of course, that never fails. I don't think I've ever come across this bridge where I haven't yet had to pass a semi on here. And it's, as you can see, it's narrow and the grading makes the truck and trailer sway all over. They're building a new bridge, so hopefully it's bigger than this one. This one's been here forever. Alright, gotta drive. Current situation. I pulled over because it was snowing and the old Star Wars effect was starting to get to me because I was tired, and then I slept for an hour and a half and I wake up and there's 4 inches of snow and it's still snowing like crazy. And what will happen is these semis and stuff, they're going to start rolling through here soon. We'll come through here and pack this into compact ice, and then it's supposed to rain here in a couple hours, so this will get treacherous. So I thought, when I woke up and saw it was still snowing like crazy, I just sat up and I'm like, I gotta go. I'll drive out of this here shortly, so plus I need fuel, so this will get me out of this snow because it's only supposed to be right in this area. Anyhow, I figured I'd give you an update, but yeah, that's deeper than it looks for sure on the camera, but it's over my ankles because I stepped out to make yellow snow. Well, here's the update. I stopped in Tok and got fuel, and now there's 6 inches of snow on the ground, no snow plows yet. Figured I'm gonna drive out of this, so I'm just gonna keep driving. So I'm gonna pound on towards Glen Allen. Hopefully it's not snowing that way. It's not supposed to be, but it wasn't supposed to snow here either like this. It was supposed to flurry, and then I wake up to 4 inches of snow, which is now 6. So we'll hammer on here. We'll see. Yeah, hopefully you can see a little better. Quite a bit less snow. I was actually dragging snow. I keep forgetting this is a mild truck. This truck sits considerably lower than my old truck, so I was actually rubbing the bottom of the truck on the snow. I got that deep. Luckily there's a semi out ahead of me, probably at 30-40 minutes. Tracks are snowed in a little bit, but not enough to make them undrivable. But doesn't help that there's 50-60 mile an hour winds gusting all through here. This is the best I've seen it so far as not any blowing dusty snow, but the snow is real heavy, wet snow. It's kind of like a Seward or Pacific Northwest snow. It's real sloppy, heavy stuff when it hits the ground, so it doesn't move when it hits. Otherwise, all this stuff would be blown off into the ditch, and I'd be driving on bare pavement right now. But I'm logging miles. I'm not going fast. I'm only doing 40, so it's going to take forever. But at some point, a snowplow will come off the Glen Allen side and have this clear. So at least I'll keep my fingers crossed that happens. Otherwise, I'm going to drive to Glen Allen in 6 to 7 inches of snow, it looks like. Yeah, that's the update. I'm going to keep driving. Well, like I figured, it took me an hour, but I drove out of the majority of the snow. There's just a skiff on this road now, but the downside is there's ice underneath it, so if I bump the throttle, the truck gets all kinds of squirrely. But anyhow, I'm out of the worst of the blizzard part of it. Now I'm just into the what was left over from the other day, I guess. I've got about 5 inches of snow packed on the back of the trailer, so it's kind of squatting the back of the trailer and raising the hitch a little bit, so my headlights are hitting a little closer than normal. There's not a whole lot I can do about that at the moment. It's dark and I don't have anything to scrape the snow off the back of the trailer with. I did go clear the head or the tail lights off, so at least if somebody comes racing up on me, they'll see me. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I'm 80 miles from Glen Allen right now, so about another hour and a half at this rate to get there. And then from Glen Allen, I make the final turn towards Anchorage. At my current rate, about 7 hours, but who knows? We'll see what the road does. It might clear up too. So this is the aftermath. It's warmed up, so a lot of this is starting to fall off the truck already, but that was all packed in last night with snow. Front of the trailer had a big ball out on both sides. Right here where it was sticking out, the fender was a big frozen mass. It's still got a bunch of snow packed up in it. And of course the back of the trailer. This is a lot of it's already fallen off. As you can see, there's big chunks missing, but there was a big old hunk out there, so it weighs the trailer back down, which lifts the trailer here and squats the nose of the truck down. So my headlights were hitting really low in the ground. It was kind of hard to see. But I'm gonna get on the road. I took a little hour nap there. I was still tired. So as you can see, there's a slight contrast to what we were dealing with a few hours ago. We're 206 miles from Anchorage right now. Now the roads are, there's just a sheet of ice underneath this little skiff of snow, but the whole trick to driving on ice is don't make any sudden moves, don't slam on the brakes, and you'll usually be fine. It's pretty bouncy, so I'm not going very fast, as you can see. But yeah, it looks like it's gonna be a pretty nice day where I'm headed, because that's what direction I'm headed, is where that sun is. So I will gladly take some sunshine after that blizzard I didn't know I was driving into last night. But that's Alaska. If you don't like the weather, just wait 15 minutes, it'll change. But it's a beautiful morning, it's cool, it's 26 degrees Fahrenheit. Did a walk around on the truck, just kind of cruising. I'm gonna get to Glen Allen, top off the fuel, grab some caffeinated beverages for my one brain cell that's still kind of functioning. So total, since I've left, I slept 2 hours. Then I started this trip, slept 2 hours, got on the road, did hang out with a friend of mine, which was really nice. It was relaxing. Spent the day just kind of goofing off because I didn't want to drive through all the big cities during the daytime in Seattle, Tacoma, Portland, all those. So I goofed off all day and just kind of killed the day there. And then got a late start and left downtown, or I left Castle Rock area at 8 p.m. and drove up to Canada, crossed the border right around midnight on Saturday night. It is Tuesday morning now at 8:30 in the morning, and I went border to border on the Canadian border, sub 48 hours. So it was like 47 hours and 30 minutes. So I just about made 48 hours, which is it's a difficult task to do 48 hours regardless. But I was towing a trailer. 1,000 miles of that trip were exceptionally icy, nasty roads, just because of the time of the year. But yeah, I slept 2 hours the first day, 3 hours the first night in Canada down by Hope, and then last night, I slept 4 hours, and then this night, or this last few hours here, I slept 2 hours, woke up to that snow and realized it was getting deep and it was going to be compact snow and ice. So hammered down through that, drove out of that, got as far as I could, and then I just got super tired, and I was like, all right, when you're driving into the snow like that, it's like the Star Wars, I call it the Star Wars effect. Makes your eyes really tired, so I just pulled over and I just grabbed another hour. So I'm up to 259. So I'm up to 12 hours sleep for 4 days. But I'll be home in about 6.5 hours, 7 hours, I think, which is fine. I can sleep in my bed all night, because sleeping in this front seat, not real comfortable. Alright, enough babbling here. I'm gonna hammer down this last 15 miles to Glen Allen, top off the fuel, and if I see something nice, I'll film somewhere. This is dropping down into the Matsu Valley. This is where the Matsu Glacier came out of. It's a nice, steep, slippery, narrow canyon. But I've knocked down this a bunch and up it a bunch, so not too worried about it. I just stopped at the top back there and probably knocked at least 1,000 pounds of snow and ice off the back of the trailer and out of the fender wells, so the trailer is considerably lighter now. Because it was doing all kinds of weird stuff back there, pushing and tail wagging, and I think I just had all that extra weight back on the back of it, and it was making the tongue on the truck a little light. Yeah, that's nice and slippery. And then we gotta go up this side. This used to be really, really nasty. It's a lot better than it used to be. We've done a lot of work through here in the last 20 years. And that's the one we just came down right there. About 45 miles from Palmer, which is another 35 or 40 miles to Anchorage from there. Got to drive down the Matsu Valley. This is probably the last major treacherous spot. I got a little bit of down on the Kenai Peninsula that I got to drive through, but this is the last really nasty stretch of road I got to deal with the next 60 miles. And then I'll be home free. Alright, I'll let you go. That is the Matsu or Matanuska Glacier. That's where it ties back in. It goes down through this valley that we're driving down. It ends right over there now, but it used to go through this entire 60 or 70 mile canyon. But that is the glacier. And there is a snowplow, thankfully. If these guys would have been out an hour ago, that would have been nice. The road about 20 miles ago was exceptionally icy. Like, scary icy almost. I should have sanded this though, because this is that glare ice. This is more of the Matsu Valley Canyon. It's pretty narrow, and when you're passing semis in here, it's not much fun, because as you can see, it's just barely wide enough for two to cross through here. And later in the winter, when the snow's piled up even deeper in here, it gets even a little tighter, if you could believe that. But yeah, we're working our way. Got about 35 miles to Palmer, I think, at this point. Sorry if that's shaking. I'm driving. I'm not really watching the camera. I'm trying to get through here before I meet another semi. I just met one right before I turned the camera on. The stretch here isn't one you'd really want to straighten out, as there's no guardrail through here, and it's a long ways down to that lake. And again, nice and narrow. They work on this every year, but you'd think they'd widen it just a little bit. It goes all the way up through this canyon. Insult to injury on this narrow little road. Here comes an oversized load. Yay! I'm gonna go ahead and stop, just let them go by. They've done a lot of road construction I'm following right now. They're still finishing up on this for the year, but this is the Matsu River. Further down the canyon, almost to Palmer. We're getting there. They're building some bridges and stuff here last time I drove through here, which was last year, so it's changed a lot since I was here last time. This used to be a really nasty little stretch of road too. Got one more little canyon section we gotta drive through, and then we're on to decent highway for the remainder until we get to Cooper Landing down by my house. And then that's just a little 5-mile squirt of just tight, narrow road. Hopefully the roads are still clear. It looks like it's warmed up quite a bit down here from what it was a few days ago. It was single digits last week when I was looking at it. Oh yeah, about Widen this up big time. This used to be just a series of little tiny bridges that sucked when you were meeting semis, which was often. And this will be nice when this is all finished up. Anyhow, I'm gonna go ahead and log the miles. I got a long ways to go still.